Hello lovely people, I'm Catherine and welcome to this week's journal for all seasons. I've just come from my walk before making my video and it's raining a bit, so I've got my hood up, a weird bit of hair. Yeah, I just thought it'd be nice for you to come with me. I actually already picked up, I'm going to stitch a leaf again. I actually already picked it up yesterday and it's been pressing overnight in my journal. But yeah, I just thought it would be nice for you to see where it came from. I mean, you've seen here before, but just thought it would be nice to take you along with me. So I shall turn you around and we'll have a little walk, okay? So it's raining a little bit, but I think I'm all right with my phone. I do think they are a little bit waterproof, but you know, probably just not to immerse them in water. I don't know, I have to look that up. Or maybe if you know, you could tell me. My phones generally can stand the rain on them. I'm always just worried that, you know, when I'm filming, that I'll mess my phone up and break it completely and have to get a new one, because that wouldn't be good. So yeah, I just love this time of year. And actually I don't mind the rain. I mentioned, I think in my Friday Park Home Life, that the weather's just been gloomy these last few days. And yeah, this feels more like proper weather, you know, it's actually doing something. If that makes any sense at all. So yeah, I love it, particularly now when there's still leaves on the trees, but they're falling, and obviously they fall at this different species turn and fall at different times. And they also seem to turn depending on where they are. Like, there's a lot of field maples in this bit of woodland. And some of them down at the bottom, where they're in the full sun, are completely yellow. And some, like this big one here, are still green. And I don't know if that's got to do with sun and shade, because I thought it was daylight length, so I guess it would. I thought it was more daylight length that affects leaves. But then things like the horse chestnut went brown weeks and weeks ago. I mean, a long time ago. Way before all the other leaves even began to turn. But yeah, anyway, it's interesting to observe, I think. And Stella likes it. I don't know if you can hear, it's actually Sunday, I'm filming this on Sunday. I don't know if you can hear the church bells. They stop talking a minute. I don't know if it picks it up. I don't have the microphone with me, unfortunately. I'm just shouting into the phone microphone. Well, not shouting, but you know, speaking clearly and loudly and enunciating so that you can hear me. Stop being silly, Catherine. I really hope you can hear them. It's a lovely sound. And commonly in Britain, or in England at least, it is actual people ringing bells. There are some automated ones, but there are still bell ringers. Classically, they are gentlemen. Oh, Stella's going to do a poo right there. It wouldn't be a walk in the woods without Stella doing a poo. Just keep my eye on it because it's really hard to hang on. I'll stop filming because I have to pick it up while I can still see where it is. I'll be back in a minute. Ah yes, I've dealt with that. I think I managed to get it all. Yeah, I just wanted to show you this is another field maple here in the open. You see how much of it is yellow already, as opposed to that one down there that was green. So it's nearly, I mean, there's some green on it still, but mostly turned. So we're going to walk up this way a little bit. Where's Stella gone? Stells! Oh, there she is. She says, I'm here. Why are you calling me? I'm right behind you. And I will show you where I got my leaf from yesterday. It's a great big sycamore leaf. Somebody asked me under the Friday video, did you need to go collecting leaves ready for today? I didn't really mention it because all I've done is press it. What I'm going to do, you could just pick it fresh, you know, or pick it up fresh off the ground and use it just like that. Because I'm still going for that idea of it being ephemeral, you know, I'm not trying to preserve it in any way, I'm viewing it more as a process. But of course, if you want to preserve it in some way, wax or matte medium or glycerin, one of those methods, then you're of course free to do so. You do you. I can't see very well because there's rain on my glasses now. I need windscreen wipers. So it was a big sycamore just up here. And the bells have stopped. I hope it's not too wobbly. I still haven't been able to work that gimbal out that lovely person sent me. I don't, because my daughter's tried, and my daughter is very tech savvy. And a friend of mine has tried, who is also very tech savvy. Neither of them could get it to work, so I don't know if there's a fault with it or something, but it's not just a mechanical thing that you put the phone in and it, you know, it's supposed to keep the phone straight when I'm moving. It has to connect in some way electronically, which I don't really understand, via Bluetooth I think. And they couldn't get it to work, so either it's not compatible with my phone or there's something wrong with it. Anyway, so all of that to say, apologies for the wobbles. I'm doing my best. So yeah, it was just up here. Of course all the leaves go much darker and a bit soggy when it rains. But you can begin to see them on the ground now. So mixed in with the ash and the field maples. The sycamores here, do you see them? Do you see? And so they're all different colours. Oh, it's just a common sycamore. That one's quite brown. This one's really yellow. That one there is really red. And all the colours. What I thought might be another fun exercise to do would be to choose a leaf. Stars, where have you gone? Oh, just there still. I don't know, I thought she'd gone off behind me. Would be to choose a leaf that's got lots of different colours in it. Like this one, for example. That one there. And then go through with your paints or your crayons or, you know, something, and try and match all the colours and then swatch it. If that makes sense. I thought that might be maybe we'll do that next week if you think that sounds like a good idea. And if you don't have colourful leaves where you are, because I know some of you are going into spring and some of you might live in the desert or whatever, maybe you could just find some, where has she gone now? Something natural, you know, just, it could be a rock or a stick or anything. And there she is. And we could swatch that with our paints or our crayons or something. Maybe that'd be fun. Anyway, it's raining really quite badly now. And I'm going to go out onto that open field there. So I'm going to stop recording because I don't want the phone to get too wet. Oh, I'll just show you Stella. She's the queen of the castle. They make these piles when they strim. They've just strimmed the edges a bit. And they pile everything up for the wildlife. And that's what she's standing on. Anyway, I'll see you in a bit, back in the warm and the dry. Okay, I'm home again in the warm and the dry, and it's actually stopped raining now, I think. But anyway, so here's my leaf that I picked up yesterday. Like I said, like as you can see, it is an enormous one. It's bigger than my hand, and it's got a few little holes in it, but it's got this one quite big hole here that I thought I would mend. I haven't done anything other than press it overnight, but it is still quite flexible. But obviously it will dry out over time and shrink and crack and whatever, and I'm not worried about that. Like I said when I was in the woods, if you are worried, then either you can wax it. There's a video that I will link to, waxing leaves, back on my channel somewhere, or you could just paint it with some matte medium, or you could soak it in glycerin. I've never done that myself. I don't have any glycerin, but I do believe that they stay flexible then and preserved, and I think you sort of soak them overnight or something like that, but don't quote me, I don't know. I expect there's some kind soul on YouTube that's got a video explaining how to do it. Here are my pages in my journal that are coming for this week. That's my last week's leaves there. So I've got this, it is, I think it's mixed media paper or something like that. It's the middle of this signature. So I'll stick it one side or the other, not sure which side yet, and probably put some words here. but I'll mend it, I'll mend the hole independently of the journal and then stick it in afterwards. So I'll put the journal to one side. So what I have got here is this little tiny scrap of this golden yellow cloth, because I'm kind of thinking of the Japanese kintsugi, where they mend cracks in porcelain using gold to honour the mend rather than try to disguise it. But I am going to make this hole slightly bigger. So I've got the blunties, and I'm just going to cut, not too big, but I'm just going to cut it slightly bigger. It is kind of much drier around the hole, so I'm trying to cut off the drier parts because I think that might crumble when I stitch it. I'll do pig. So now what I want is, I want this little patch to be behind the hole like that, and I don't want to be able to see it, you know, at the edge. Now I think I am going to put a tiny bit of glue stick, not much, and not where I'm going to stitch, just to hold. I think it will just make it easier. So I'm going to put it just round the outside edge. I don't want to get it on my felt mat. I'm just going to put, whoops, sorry for the clanging. Whoops, that's a big lump. I keep saying whoops, 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 whoops. Just tiny bits just round the outside edge. I don't know if it's going to hold, but we'll see. That glue stick's gone a bit manky. Probably because I leave the lid off, which you will have witnessed. Whoops. So now I'll just position that and press that down. Just give it a minute to dry. My nails are still a bit iron watery from the eco printing. I think that will hold. And now, inspired by the fact that we did eyelet stitch on the coverlet of Comfort last week, I'm going to do eyelet stitch on my leaf. So I've got quite a fine needle. This is my trusty tulip number 9. You don't want to be making big holes. And I've got 2 strands of floss. You kind of want the floss to be thick enough to fill the holes, but not so thick that it's going to tear through the leaf, you know, more than you want to. Now I have done this before, but to be honest I think I've only done it on eucalyptus leaves, which are much sturdier. So we'll see where we get to. I think I'm going to come up into the leaf, apparently that's where my needle wants to come. And I'm going to stab stitch it. I'm not going to try and go in and out. And I am sort of holding it behind as well, so it doesn't push the cloth. You know, as I pushed against with my needle, it was pushing the cloth away. And I'm going to go round. I'm going quite a long way into the leaf, apparently. That's just where my needle's coming out. The thing is, when there's cloth behind, it's quite difficult to make a guide hole. You know, like I say on stitching paper, and I said it last week on stitching the leaves, you can make a hole from the front. The hole in the cloth might not show. So I'm just sort of feeling with my finger where I want to go. And like I do when I'm doing eyelet stitch just with cloth, I'm going to make one complete round first. And that will hold that patch in place, because I don't think the glue stick's doing a lot. And I'm also being careful, as you see, not to catch the edge of my leaf with the thread and not to pull on it. Doing things like this, it's just very much an exercise in mindfulness and paying attention and a little bit of patience, because, you know, leaves are not designed to be stitched, are they? And like I said, I haven't done anything to make this leaf sturdier, it's just as it came off the ground, just because that's what I fancy doing. And if it breaks, it breaks. Just being very gentle. I didn't finish telling you about bell ringers, if you don't know. I realised I watched back the little bit of video that I made in the woods there. because Stella decided at that point that she needed a poo. And I have done a little Google just to get some facts and figures. Apparently there are still 40,000 people registered in England as bell ringers, although churches and cathedrals and abbeys and so on do use mechanical, machines to ring bells, but often for special occasions at least, they are actual people who can do a much more nuanced bell ringing tune. And I know that there are all kinds of bell ringing tunes. You'll have to let me know in the comments if you're a bell ringer or you know somebody who is. But what I started to say before Stella rudely interrupted me was that they're kind of the stereotype, and I'm sure this is only a stereotype and not necessarily true, is that they're gentlemen of a certain age with beards who drink what we call in England real ale. Real ale drinkers, which is like proper beer rather than, lager and stuff like that. So that's just to finish what I was saying. So I've gone round once, so now I'm just going to go around again, filling in the gaps. I don't know if I'm going to do a full eyelet, close all the stitches up completely. I'm just going to see really, because I think, already I could have left it like that. It already looks nice. I'm going to do a few more stitches. And the cloth is sturdying up the leaf, it is providing some support. I can feel that it's sturdier with the cloth there. Someone in the comments mentioned last week, did I know the artist Andy Goldsworthy? And yes, I do know Andy Goldsworthy. He is worth Googling if you are interested in nature, art in nature. He makes installations in nature, but he only uses things that he finds there. And it's designed to be ephemeral. It's designed to fade away. I came too close to the edge, so I'm going to come further out. It now has left a visible hole. I'll see if I can find a link if he's got a website or, if he's on social media or something. And you can check him out. There was another woman who did, I saw in I think it was on the television, I don't think it was on YouTube or anything like that. And I can't remember her name. I have in my head that she's called Fiona something. She's I believe they call themselves land artists, and she was doing this exercise, this art exercise. It was somewhere up on one of the Scottish islands, I think. And what she had done was she had built a kind of round structure with rocks below the tide line. And then she was carrying, as the tide came in, and she made a fire in it with wood, and then she was wading out as the tide was coming in. She was wading out quite, in quite deep water, feeding the fire, until at one point the sea obviously washed over and put the fire out. And the whole exercise in itself was art. That was the art. It wasn't anything that was going to stay there forever or anything like that, obviously. But I can't remember her name. I can't even remember what program I saw it on. It just came into my head, and I just found it very interesting. As I've talked before about mandala. The mandala that are made from coloured sand or chalk, that can take hours and hours, days even, to create, and then when they're finished, they're just wiped away or swept up. It's that kind of that same ethos of impermanence of the process. It kind of fascinates me. And it's that kind of thing that I'm thinking here with my leaf, which if it crumbles, it crumbles, but I will have gone through the process of mending it with this little eyelet and celebrating the mend with the gold thread and the gold piece of cloth. And just, paying attention to the material. See there, I put one stitch a little bit close to the other, and the holes have kind of connected but that's okay. And if you go through in the wrong place and make a hole, you can go out again, and then you could make sure your stitch covers that hole, but you can't get rid of the hole anymore. You know, the hole will stay there in the leaf. You can't close it back up because it's not cloth. It's a different kind of material. So you just kind of have to go with what happens. Go with the flow. You can kind of feel between your finger on the back and your thumb on the front where you're going to come out. But not exactly, you know. I've just jumped over to come up to fill in one last little gap, and of course if you come up into the cloth you can stab about and see where you want to be, but the danger then is that you would come up into the leaf instead, but then that will be covered by your stitches. So just thinking about it, maybe it would have made more sense to come up from underneath into the cloth and then go down into the leaf. But anyway, I've done it now like that, but I'm just suggesting that for you. You might find that easier. There we go. So I'm going to turn it over carefully, and you can see on the back. And I'm going to just take a couple of stitches into the back of the stitches and just do a back stitch like that. And now I can, well, before I stick it onto my page, I'll just move my felt mat out of the way. Before I stick it onto my page, I think I'm going to do something to my page. I think I quite like it on that side. I think I'm going to put it on that side. I don't want to do a lot because I want the leaf to be the start. I might just ink the edges and maybe do a bit of background stamping with my illegible text thing. Maybe baby. Use my distress ink because it's brown. Just to, you know, give it a bit of interest. Just do that in both directions. Oops, it's just a bit of texture. You could of course do whatever. If you don't have this, you could use some other kind of stamp, or you could just go over it with your dauber, just to grunge it up. If you've got ink, or you could do some tea or coffee on it, you know, or some paint. You could do anything really. You could do collage. The world's your oyster. It's mixed media, you can do anything you like. But I just quite like the look of this. There we go, that'll do pig. And then I'm going to just go all around the edges with my ink like this. So I think for words, I'm just going to have a little look through my found text tin and see if there's anything that jumps out at me. Ritual in the making, that's quite nice, but it disappears a bit against the page. Of course I could, it's good to be a diva. I could of course ink the edges. I like that, the surprising power of ordinary things to create extraordinary happiness. Okay, what I've come up with is this treasured keepsakes, and that's kind of an irony, or like the opposite of what I want to say, if that makes sense, because this is not It's kind of a keepsake and it's treasured, but I'm prepared to let it go. I hope that is clear enough. But I am going to ink them because they are disappearing a little bit against the page, and if they still disappear I could stick something else on first and then stick them to it. But I'll try first just inking them. I don't want to detract from the leaf, I want the leaf to really be the star. So that's why I'm trying this first. Yeah, I think that shows up well enough. I don't think I really need it shouting at you, or at me, or at anybody who's looking. There we go. I'm just going to clip these pages down because they're not laying flat. If I can, clip them down. Right, that's better. So I think I'll stick the leaf on first. I thought the tacky glue might work. So this is somewhere between normal PVA and, you know, the stinky glue. I guess double-sided tape might work as well. But I'm just going to put a few blobs and hope for the best. And if it comes off at one point, I can use something else. I don't really want to put any on the stem because I don't want it to squirt onto the front. Right, so it's going to overlap the page, that's okay. And the stalk, oh, the stalk just fits. I'll put it up there. And I will, when I've finished filming, put something on it, a book or something, just to hold it down while it dries. And I think glue stick's probably good enough for these. Maybe not this glue stick, but we'll give it a whirl. So I hope you like that as a little exercise again in using fallen leaves. And like I said when I was showing you the leaves in the woods, I'm just going to plonk it there. Actually, I'm not going to plonk it there because I want it to read kind of left to right, so I'm going to put that up there and then that one there. Yeah, maybe next week, I quite like the idea of doing that, is to find a leaf with a lot of different shades of colour in, and then with my paints just go through, like maybe stick the leaf on one side, and go through and make a little swatch of each colour that I can see on the facing page. Now this has nearly run out, this glue stick. So yeah, so if you don't have fallen leaves or brightly coloured leaves, maybe you could spend the week, if you want to play along, looking out for something that's a little bit brightly coloured, you know, that has, or not brightly coloured, but that has different colours or shades in. So if my head comes in, like a rock or a stick or, you know, whatever you can think of. Obviously you can't then put a rock or a stick in your journal, but you could maybe take a photograph of it or do a sketch of it or something, if you don't have a leaf. Or maybe a piece of fallen bark. Please don't take bark off trees. I probably don't have to tell you that. I certainly don't have to tell you that. But you know, something. Just try and be creative. Or maybe even a photograph of a leaf, or a, you know, a picture from a magazine of a leaf. That would also work. You could cut that out if you didn't have real leaves. So there we go. So that is my page for this week. So I hope you enjoyed that. The idea of mending a hole in a leaf with an eyelet stitch. And thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to you joining me next time for more journaling tales. Lots of love and kisses. Bye bye.